Hey guys, welcome. In this course you will learn about Adobe Photoshop. Adobe Photoshop is an image manipulation application. It's been used in many industries like movies, photography, digital painting and matte painting. It is the most advanced image editing tool available right now. Learning Photoshop is easy and interesting if you dedicate your time. In this course, we will learn the essential parts of Photoshop. We will start from creating a new document, learning about workspaces, tools, output panels, layers, and much more. At the end of this course, you will have the skills to create your own image manipulation. I have just one suggestion to all of you. Practice as much as possible to become an advanced Photoshop artist. So let's get started. In this class, I'm going to show you how to create a new document. So if I go to File and click on New, this will give you these options. Now make sure that you set these settings to pixels and change this pixel per centimeter to pixel per inch. Now if you see these values, I'm going to change this one to 1920 by 1080. So once you have done that, what you can do now is you can click on Save Preset, because I'm using these settings again in my further classes. So I'm going to save this as HD. So once I have done that, click on OK. Now click on Cancel. So now if you go to File, New, and you can see that we still don't have all the settings we saved. So at that time, all you have to do is just go to your document type, and from the drop down, select HD. And now all you have the new settings which you created. So once you have done that, now click on OK. Okay, a new document is now created. Now the document says it's untitled 1. So you didn't save your document yet. So I'm going to save this document. Go to File, Save As, and in the desktop I'm going to create a folder called Photoshop. I'm going to create a new folder called Lesson 1, and inside that I'm going to save this as 1. It's going to be saved in .psd extension, which stands for Photoshop document. So once you have done that, click on Save. Great, our new document is now saved. Photoshop layout is divided into 4 different parts. We have the Tools panel, we have the menu bar, we have the Apple panels, and in the middle we have the Work area. Now if you check out this Tools panel, every tool I select, the settings right below this menu bar changes. Now this particular bar is called as Properties panel. Check out what happens when I select the Move tool. So if I select the Move tool, I have a completely different set of settings. I have the Murky tool that has a complete set of settings, and same goes for each and every tool. Now if you look at your document here, it says 1.psd at 50% RGB/8. Now this is the setting what we applied when we create the document. But what is this 50%? When we created the document, our document size was 1920 by 1080, right? So this is not the actual size of the document. Right now we have zoomed into the document, that is around 50%. So if you want to see the 100% of the complete page, you can see at the bottom we have this 50% written. Select that and change that to 100%. See, this is the actual size of the document. But since the document is quite big and we will not be able to navigate it very easily around it, so we're gonna zoom out a little bit. So we can change this 100% to 50%. Now there are some shortcut keys available which you can use. So you can use Alt key and the scroll bar to zoom in and zoom out. You can see as I do that, you can see that the document name here, which has this at 48% changes. Okay, and once you have zoomed in, if you want to move around, what you can do is you can use the pan button. Now to do that, all you have to do is hold the space bar and you'll get this hand symbol over here. Just move around like this. You'll be able to easily move around the page. Now if you want to get back to the actual result, all you have to do is hit Ctrl and 0. So that will get you to the fit of the page. Now if you want to be exactly how it was before, you can change this to 50%. We'll be learning more about this in the further classes. Layers is one of the most important parts of Photoshop. On your right hand side, you can see there is a panel here called Layers. Right below that, you can see there is an option called Background. It's kind of locked. It has an eye option. This is the background layer. Every time you create a new document, this is created by default. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new layer above it, and then we're going to work with layers. So if you go a little bit down, you can see there's a new layer option. You can just click on that. A new layer will be created. I'm going to call this as red. Okay, if you double click, you will be able to edit it. Now, right below the move tool here, you have murky tool. Let's select the murky tool. Now, once you have selected the murky tool, I can create shapes. Now, this shape is a selection of a specific area. So if I simply click and drag, I'll be able to create any kind of rectangle shape. So what I need is a specific square. If you want a exact size with the exact height and width, you can simply hold Shift key in your keyboard and you'll be able to create a perfect shape. So I'm going to set this to this size and just leave the mouse. Now that we have our selection, you can see here we have an option called gradient. Now if I right click that, I will have a paint bucket tool. Just select that option. Once you select the paint bucket tool, we can choose red color from our color palette. Let me choose red color from this. Okay, let's just drop it inside the selection. Okay, now we have created a red box. Now you can see in the layers panel it's displaying that we have the red box. Now let's go back to our murky tool here, and what I can do now is if I take my cursor a little bit beside the box, you can see my cursor changes, right? So let's create a new layer. I'm going to call this as green, and if I take my cursor here, I'll be able to move the selection. So I'm going to keep it over here, and then I'm going to fill this with the green color. Okay, let's create another layer. I'm going to call this as blue. Okay, now again I'll have to go back to the murky selection tool and then just move this a little bit down and change the color to blue color. Once you have done this, you still have the murky tool running. See, you need to deselect this. To deselect, all you have to do is press Ctrl D. The selection will be disabled. Now we need to move these options up and down. To do that, we have to use the move tool. The shortcut key is V, but I'm just going to go ahead and click on that. Okay, now if I want to move the red box, if I try to move it, see the blue one moves. That's because in my layers, I have not selected the red one. So let me just move this a little bit up so that you'll be able to see much more clearer. Okay, see, the highlighted layer here is blue. So if I try to move the red one, I will not be able to move it. So if I want to move the red one, all I have to do is select the red one and then I'll be able to move it. Check out what happens when I try to move all these items accordingly. You see, the red is in the bottom here in the layers too, and also in the workspace. Same thing is happening with the green. If I try to move the green, see, and that same thing is happening with the red, the blue one. So now what I need is, I need to align them accordingly. So I'll be able to move this. I can move this up and down. So I can put the red on the top, green in the middle, and blue at the bottom. Now if I align this, I can still be able to move these items up and down. Murky tools are the selection in Photoshop. So let me show you how this thing works. If I create one box and if I try to create another one, the first one just goes away. That's because you can see in the properties panel, we have different options to work with the murky tool. So if you want like 2 or 3 selections at the same time, you'll have to use the add selection thing. So if I select this one and if I create another box, see, now we have both the boxes available. The same way we have the subtract option. So I can select the subtract one and I can choose another box which overlaps these 3 boxes. That's going to subtract them. And then I have a division part. So if I create one box which divides all of them, the division will be the one which will be left off. Right beside that we have feather. So I'm going to show you how the feather works. What I've done here is I've created a new layer. I'm going to press Ctrl D. Now before even I create the selection, I'm going to set the feather to 0 and let's create a box. Okay, now I have this thing. So I'm going to drop in some color. See, now we have a blue color box. So press Ctrl D. The next time when I create a murky selection, I'm going to set the feather to 10 pixels. So now when I create the box, I get rounded corners. Now this is just not the rounded corners. See what happens when I fill in the color? The edges are blurred off. This is what the feather does. So if you create more feather, so let me just add around like 50 pixel, and I will create another box, I have more rounded corners. So now if I drop in more color, that gives me more border shade on the borders. But what happens when you have like around 100 pixel of feather, but the size which you're creating is quite small? You'll get an error message saying that no pixel are more than 50% selected, or the selection edges will not be visible. So basically this is happening is because the area which you selected is quite small when it's compared to the feather which you have given. So if you're giving the feather around 100 pixel, it is always a good idea to give above the 100 pixel. So now I can fill in some color, I will have the same effect. If you check out the murky selection, just go there and right click. You have around like 4 options. We have rectangular murky tool, we have elliptical murky tool, and we have single row and a single column. So when it comes to selection, we have just rectangular and circle. What if we want a custom selection? See, this is where we get our lasso tools. So you can come over to the lasso tools and just right click over there, and you'll get the list of lasso tools available for us. The first one which we have here is just a lasso tool. So it's a freehand tool where you can simply draw the selection. See, it's that simple. Now the same thing happens when we have the polygonal lasso tool, but in polygonal lasso tool the selection is made through points. So let's just say I create one point and I take it to the next one, and this is how I can create like multiple selections and can create my own custom selection over here. Then again the same way we have a magnetic lasso tool, so I can select this one. So what happens here is you just draw around some objects, and based on the object's edge, it's going to automatically detect the what is the edge of the object, and it's going to just fill the murky around it. Hey guys, in this class we're going to create a scene like this. We're going to learn a lot of new tools. We're going to learn about pen tool, we're going to learn about gradient tool, we're going to learn how to fill in colors, how to use brush tools, and then at the end of all those things we're going to create this scene which will have a sky, which will have a sun, and we're going to give some effect for the sun as a glow. We will create a cloud with the gray shade. We'll also create the mountains, which kind of looks like a 2D mountain. We're going to give some shadows for those, like how you can see the dark parts we are given here. We're going to do all these things. So let's get started. To create our scene, the first thing what we're going to need is to create the sky, which is in the background. So let me create a new layer, and I'm going to name this layer as sky. Okay, I'm going to drop in the blue color, so make sure you select the blue color here. I'm going to select this one, and then select the paint bucket tool and just that. Okay, so now I have the sky, but that kind of looks pretty boring. So I'm going to add some gradients to the sky so that it can look much more better. Now there are many ways of adding gradients. I'm going to show you one of it. So you can just right click here and you have a gradient tool option. So if you select that, you can see on the top I have the gradient options. Now we have different types of gradient options available here. We have linear gradient, we have radial and diagonal, and many other things. So I'm going to use the linear one and just click on this icon here. So if I click on that one, you can choose the gradient options. So I'm going to set the first one. You can select the bottom one here. You can click that and you can see that we have a blue color. So choose this color. I'm going to set it to a bit dark blue, and then I'm going to set this one to the lighter blue. So let me just select here, and from here I can choose light blue version. So yeah, I think this one is fine. So let's click on OK. Okay, now in order to create our gradient, what I need to do is I can click on from the top, hold shift when I'm doing this, and I can pull it down. So if I do this, now you can see that I have a gradient which starts from dark from the top and it ends at the bottom with the light one. But let's just say I want it in reverse options. What I can do is I can press Ctrl Z, and instead of dragging it from the top, I can drag it from the bottom. So if I can click here and just hold Shift and then just pull it up. Great, now I have that. So now that I have my gradient, in the next class I'm going to show you how you can add your sun inside the scene. Now that my sky is ready, let's create the sun. To do that, you can see right below the move tool we have the murky selection. Just right click on that. You can see that we have an elliptical murky tool. Select that one. Now in the layers panel, make sure to create a new layer. I'm going to call this as sun, and then just anywhere in the document, hold Shift and then drag. Okay, I have a running murky tool right now. I have a selection here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change the color to white and then choose the paint bucket tool to drop the white color inside this. Okay, you can choose your own color for the sun. A lot of people choose orange, yellow, but it's completely your choice. Now what I need is I need the glow effect on the sun. To do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new layer. I'm going to double click the name and call this as sun glow. And on this layer, you can see that the sun layer is entirely different layer, so you can enable and disable this. Okay, right now I'm on the sun glow. So to add the glow, what we can do is we can go to the brush tool here, and then in the top properties panel, you can choose the first option, which is kind of a blurred brush or soft round brush. You can select that. And if I get back here, you can see my brush is pretty small. In order to make the brush bigger, what you can do is you can get back here and you can increase the size of the brush. And I can see the size of the brush increases based on your selection. But that's gonna take a lot of time to increase the size. So what you can do is you can right click and you can change the size right over there. Or there is another option which you can choose. On your keyboard, you have this closing floor bracket. So just tap on that one. That also will increase the size of the glow or the brush. So what we're going to do now is we're going to click once and twice. So now we have the glowing sun. So what we can do now is go to the move tool, hold Control key and select the sun and the sun glow together. Now then, since it is selected together, what you can do is you can press Control G. So that will group it. I'm going to name this group as sun. So this will keep us organized when we are creating and when we are working with multiple layers. So we can get back to the move tool. Now I can move the sun and the sun glow both together. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to place this over here somewhere, and that's the position of my sun. In this class, we're going to create mountains for our scene. To do that, let's go to the new layer and let's create mountains. Okay, so now I have my mountains layer ready. Let's get back to our lasso tool. So you can choose polygonal lasso tool, and from here you can just create some random shape. It doesn't have to be perfect. It can be just some random shape because we're going to create a rocky mountain. Okay, I have my mountain created. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose the paint bucket tool here. I'm going to choose something which is dark brown or almost black, and then I'm going to fill in the color. So when you do that, make sure you don't deselect it. So I'm going to create a new layer and I'm going to name this as mountains shade. So we have a sun, so the reflection or the rays from the sun is going to fall on the mountains, and we're going to have some shades. So if you see, this is my mountain and this is my shade. So right now I don't have anything on the shade. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose the light-ish orange color, and then I'm going to go to the brush. So let's increase the size of the brush. Okay, so this is my sun. So what I'm going to do is the sun is here, so you're just gonna have some effects over here like this, and you have some effects over here like this, and the same goes over here. Okay, Now make sure to save your document. So once this is done, what we can do is you can press Ctrl D to deselect it. Now you can see that this is our mountain shade, this is the mountains, this is the sun, and this is the sky. So we have everything set up. So what I need to do now is I need to create shadows for my mountains. So since the sun is here, the shadows are going to be opposite side of the sun. So I'm going to use the polygonal lasso tool here and then cut out the places where the shadows are going to be. So this is sun, the shadow is going to come somewhere around like this. So make sure to go deep so that you can get the perfect edit. The sun is here, so we're going to have some shadow on the other versions too, which is this one. Delete that. I can see that I have this version too, so I'm just going to connect with this thing. Okay, the shadow is going to fall on this one too. Let's delete that. And I have this small version here, so I'm going to cut this one too. Let's delete that. And let's get back to this one. And the shadow is going to fall on this one. And then same goes for this. The shadow is going to fall on this. Now the final mountain. So we create this. And then hit delete. Now save your document. Now you can see that we have the mountains and it has some shadows too. So let's select the mountain shade and the mountains together and group them. Press Ctrl G to group it. Just double click the name. I'm going to call this as mountains. Okay, so we have the mountains. So you can see this is the mountains, and inside that we have the mountain glow, the shade, the mountain background, and we have the sun and the sky. Great. So in the next class, we're going to see how we can add clouds to our document. We're going to create the clouds in a different document, and then we're going to pull that over here because we just do not have much space here to create our clouds. So to do that, what I can do is I can click on File, New. I'm going to call this as Clouds. And I'm going to set the size to 600 by 400. Okay, I have my document here that says clouds. And now what I can do is I can create a new layer. And on this layer is where I'll be creating my clouds. I'm going to use a special tool here called Pen Tool. You can use the same. So Pen Tool is a very advanced tool which is present in Photoshop. Actually, Pen Tool is almost everywhere in almost every graphic design software. You can take an example of InDesign, Illustrator, CorelDRAW, or any other graphic application. You know, Pen Tool is a essential tool. So let's get started with that one. So I'm going to use the Pen Tool here, and you can click one point and leave the cursor. Hold Shift and then click on the other end. That will give you a straight line. Now remember, anything that you create with the pen tool is based on paths. So if you just hit on enter, that's going to go away. So make sure you don't hit enter. So just click one point, hold Shift, and click the next one. Now that I have it, you can go a little bit height here. Now here's the thing. Click and drag. Don't leave the curve, just click and drag. So if you click and drag, that's going to create a smooth curve. So this is what we need. You can see these handles here. These handles are actually what maintains the curve. So if you feel like you have not got the exact curve what you are looking for, you can always leave this and you can get over here right below the text tool. You can right click here and you can see there is an option for direct selection tool. You can select that one. And now you can click on the anchor point which you want to change. So you just click on this and you get these handles. So you can hold these handles, and if you pull this on the right side, you can see that the curve extends. And on this side also happens the same stuff, but it extends on the other side. Now since I don't have any path over here, it's not going to extend there. So I'm going to keep it as it is. Now I'm going to get back to my pen tool. Let's continue from where we started. So if I click here now and if I drag, see what happens. I get a shape. I don't get the cut here. So what I need is a cut. So in order to get back to my previous anchor point, all you have to do is Control Alt and Z. You have to press these three buttons together. So this is an undo in the Photoshop. So you have to press Control Alt and Z. Now you can zoom in, you can hold Alt and you can scroll, you can zoom in and you can see that this is my path, and what I need to do is I need to cut this angle off. If I don't cut this angle off, that's going to create a curve. Okay, so I need to cut this off. So we can cut that off using the Alt key. Just hold the Alt key and you can see that we will have a V-shaped icon below the pen tool. So you can see that you can just click on that and that's going to cut it off. So like this you can create your cloud. So I'm just going to click on this one, hold Alt and cut it off, just create this one, hold Alt and cut it off, another one, just hold Alt and cut it off, and the final one. Okay, so if you feel like again your shapes are not perfect, again you can get back to your direct selection tool. You can choose the points which you want to modify and you can always move the points. Okay, so I guess this is fine since I have got the cloud ready. Let's go ahead further and let's create our cloud. So to do that, what I'm going to do is you can get back to the pen tool here, right click, and you can select make selection. So if you do this, you'll get this window. Make sure the feather is set to 0 and then click on OK. You'll get a selection like this. If you don't get this, if you're facing some issues, you can always go to the paths option over here and click on this one. You can see that the icon which I created is available here. The shape which I created is available here. You can right click and then make selection. This works the same way as I work in the work area. Now that I have it, what I can do is I can disable this background. That's a white background. I can remove that. You can see now my cloud has a transparent background. So now what I can do is I can name this as cloud. Okay, and I can fill in white color inside my cloud. Great, that's my cloud. And what I can do now is I can create another layer. I'm going to call this as cloud shade. Okay, so I need to create some shades here. So what I'm going to do is use the brush tool, and see my brush looks pretty huge. I can decrease the size and choose light gray color. Don't make it too dark, just keep it as lighter. Okay, and just on the edges, just paint it. That's going to make them look like a real cloud. Okay, now that I have my cloud, I can press Ctrl D. So now since we have created our cloud, you can get back to the move tool. You can select the cloud and the cloud shade using the Control key and press Ctrl G. That's going to group them. I'm going to call this as cloud. Okay, I'll save the document. I'm going to save this document as clouds inside my lesson 7. Great. Now that we have created our cloud, what we need to do is we need to get these clouds to my document. To do that, all you have to do is just click here, hold the entire group, move this to my next tab, that is my scene tab, and just leave it here. We have the cloud. Most of the time you might want to increase the size of this cloud. So you can do that, but before that, make sure you back up the original file which you created. I know you have already built one here, but in case if you create the cloud right here, you can always back this up. So how do you back up? So all you have to do is right click and then duplicate the group. So click on the duplicate group. That's going to create a cloud copy. I'm going to click on OK, and I'm going to disable this thing. So we're gonna use only this. So we have this cloud copy. I'm going to use only this. Now there are two ways how you can transform the image over here. So let's just say that you can press Ctrl T like this. You'll get you this transformation handles, and through this you can actually change the size of it. Or you can go to edit, make sure the layer is selected. You can go to edit, and from edit we have free transform. That also you can change the size of the cloud. So I'm going to hold shift so that I don't destroy my size of the cloud. So I'm going to select that much, hit enter. So we have the cloud here. Now, since I can duplicate my cloud, I'm going to create multiple cloud versions. So to do that, just right click here and duplicate group, or you can select your group here, which you have the cloud groups, and hold Alt key. That's going to give you a double key like this, and from there just drag this. So you will have multiple clouds available. Okay, now that we have our clouds, I'm going to create another one just over here. Yeah, that's better. Okay, so now that we have our clouds, I'm going to select all of the clouds groups and you can group them. This is a single group called clouds. Okay, so now I can move the entire group of the clouds simultaneously. Okay, we place this over here and we are done. Okay, so now that we have our clouds, our scene is now ready. Now that our scene is ready, I would like to give some final touch-ups to that. So more like having a birds flying around in our scene. So you can see that we have a sun, we have clouds. The only thing missing here is the birds. So let's create that bird. So unlike creating clouds, I created the complete clouds in a new document and then put it over here. But I'm going to show you how you can directly work on this document so that we can create the birds right here. So create a new layer. I'm going to call this as bird, and then you can zoom in. You can hold Alt and scroll to zoom in, and then I'm going to use the pen tool and just click, then create a point, use the Alt key to cut it off, then create this. Everybody has their own way of creating birds. This is how I make stuff, so it's up to you. You can create the way you like it. So once I have this, what I can do is I can right click, make selection and click on OK, or I can simply hit Control and enter in my keyboard. So I will have this option here. So what we can do now is that we can fill in black color inside that. So I'm going to use the paint bucket tool, drop the color. Okay, press Ctrl D. Now I have my bird, but it's kind of lengthy, so I want it to be more compressed. So I can use the transformation. I can go to edit, click on free transform, and then what I can do is I can extend this and compress this a little bit. I can also rotate this if I need. Just compress that. That's able. And yeah, just hit enter. So it's still not perfect, so I'm going to hit Ctrl T again. That's going to change the transformation settings, and there I have it. So I'm going to hit enter. Okay, I have my bird. What I can do now is I can use the move tool to move it a little bit. Now I can use the Alt key to duplicate it. So we'll create some duplicates. It can be random. Okay, so once I have these things, these are the birds. So it seems like I have around 9 copies of it. So it shows 8, but I have like copy and copy bird thing. So select all of this, press Ctrl G. I'm going to group them in a group called birds, and let's move this layer or the group somewhere near the sun like this, like halfway through. Yeah, that looks good. So now I can zoom out. Now you can see I have my scene completely ready. There are 2 ways of opening an image inside the Photoshop. So you can go to File and you can click on Open, and you can choose your image. So you have a browser here, so you can directly browse and you can find where your image is. So select this image and click on Open. So if you do this, what happens is your image is directly open in a new document, and the image which you can see now has come as the background image and it is locked. So you can always double click and you can unlock this. So you'll have this as the layer 0. But now this has come as the raster image. So there is another way of opening the same image. So I can just close this document now. Let's go to File, and you have an option here as Open as Smart Object. So if I open this, now if I select my image and if I click on Open, that's going to get me an image in this Smart Object option. So I know you're thinking, what is this smart object? So I'm going to show you what is a smart object and what's a raster object in the next class. Here you can see that I have two images. Both are duplicates, but you can see that the first one which I have here as a smart object is actually the first one on the right hand side is a smart object, and the next one which I have on my left hand side over here is just a normal image that is a raster image. Okay, so what happens when I resize them? So let's just select the raster image here, and if I go to edit and click on free transform, I'm going to hold shift and then I'm going to compress this. Okay, let's hit enter. So that will apply the transformation. I press Ctrl T, that's a shortcut for free transformation. Again, I can hold shift and I can bring it back to its normal size. See what happens now. My entire image is pixelated. This specific thing, when it happens to an image, is called pixelization. Let's try the same thing on the smart object. I'm going to go to edit and free transform, or I can directly hit on Ctrl T. Now when I do this, you can see that I have a wireframe kind of thing on my image. So I have this like X thing. So what does this do? This actually maintains the image quality. So now if I try to resize it, let's hold shift and let's compress this. Let's hit enter. That will apply the transformation. I press Ctrl T again. And if I hold shift and if I bring that back to its normal size, you can see my image did not destroy, or it did not get pixelization. This is an advantage in the smart object. So we can still maintain the quality and the size of the image as same, but when it's compared to the raster image, it loses the quality very quickly when you change the size. In this class, I'm going to show you how you can remove the complete background of this particular image. So for that, first we need to create the duplicate of the image so that we don't lose the actual image. So let me just drag and drop this. Okay, and now I have this image and I'm going to remove the complete background of this image. So we'll be using pen tool to do that. So I'm going to use the pen tool and you can zoom in, and once you zoom in, you will start seeing this white grid. This is actually called as a pixel grid. So you can get rid of that by going to view, and there's an option for show, and you can choose this pixel grid. You can untick this and you will not be able to see that anymore. Now that we have removed the pixel grid, let me go ahead and select the entire watch. Okay, now we have selected the entire image. Now what you can do is you can right click here and click on make selection. Now again, if this option is not available to you, you can always go back to this path option here and right click and then click on make selection. Okay, I'm going to set this to around 1 pixel, the feather radius. That's because I need some smooth cutting. I don't need a very sharp edgy cutting, so I'm going to choose 1 pixel as for the radius. Now there's a simple calculation which I use, and so far the images edit of the images have come really good. So this is the formula. If the image is below 1000 pixels, okay, use 1 pixel feather radius to remove the background. If the image is above 2000 pixels, use 2 pixels. If it is above 4000 pixels, use 4 pixels. Okay, so I guess you get the idea. So once you have done this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on OK. Okay, now I have the selection now. If I come back to my layers, you can see it's been selected. Now, instead of hitting the delete button, what we're going to do is we're going to press Ctrl C and Ctrl V. What's that going to do is just going to create a duplicate of the image which we selected, and just going to output the image over here. There, we completely removed the background of that specific image. Hey guys, in this class, I'm going to remove the background of a image with a furry cat. Removing background from products and objects is quite simple, but removing the background from a cat or a hare is the most difficult part a lot of people face. So in this class, I'm going to teach you how you can remove background from hair. So once you have the image selected, what you can do is you can directly go to channels here. And when you click on channels, you can see that we have an RGB. RGB stands for red, green, and blue. And below that, we have all the different channels available here. So we have red, green, and blue. So if you select the red one, see, keep an eye on the cat. You can see what differentiates the background from the cat. You have to look at that one. So if I select the red one, it doesn't make much of a difference. So if I select the green, okay, might be a little, but when I go for blue, okay, blue has more darkness. So you have to make a choice. It's different for each and every image. It depends based on the image colors. So here the blue is more used. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a duplicate of that. You can simply drag and drop it to the new layer. That's going to create a duplicate of that because I don't want to damage the original blue channel. If you damage the original blue channel, you lose the original quality of the image. So we have created a duplicate copy of the blue channel. Now I can go to image and adjustments and go to levels. And inside this levels, you can increase the darkness. So if I increase the darkness, you can see that all you have to do is just have to make sure that you be able to see the edges of the hairs. If you get the edges of the hairs, I think that would be much better now. So if I select this one, let me just update this a little bit. Okay, great. I think I have what I need, and now I can click on OK. Okay, so once you have done that, now right below the lasso tool, you have the quick selection tool. So you can select the quick selection tool here, and now you can choose the regular version. And from here, you can just drag and select the entire cat. Okay, seems like our cat is selected, but we need some more adjustments here. Okay, our cat is now selected. So now once this is done, you can click on the RGB back. That's gonna get the image in color again. Let's go to layers, and now from here, click on refine edge. So once you click on refine edge, you can see that will automatically select. It will automatically select the background, and it's going to give you this. Now what you have to do here is you have to enable this smart radius. If you enable the smart radius and if you increase the radius of the smart radius, you can see that we are getting most of the items what we require. I can go more further, but it doesn't make any changes here. So I think this is the max it can go. And from here I can increase the smoothness if I need, but obviously I need the hair, so I'm going to keep the smoothness to 0. I don't need feather too. Feather also is going to make it smooth, so I'm going to set it to 0. What I need is a contrast, so I'm going to give some contrast so that I can see the hairs, and I can shift the edges a little bit. Now if you're still unsure that it is like you have got what you need, you can just click once outside and then hold Alt and zoom in, and you can just brush around the edges slightly so that you can get all the hair. So once you get all the hairs, so I'm just getting it right now. So let me select all the hair available here, or space bar. Can just move this around, and let me select all the hair available in this thing. Okay, great. I have got everything. Now once I have been selected this thing, you need to output this image. We have a lot of different versions here. So we have layer mask, we have layers with mask, and we can actually export this to a new document too. What I'm going to do is I'm going to export this to a new layer so that this image automatically comes to a new layer without the background. So now all I have to do is just click on OK. Okay, great. I got the image without the background. Now that I have it, let me just test it. I'm going to click here and create a new background, and I'm going to drop in the black color. So now you can see there are no extra white spaces available. Hey guys, in this class I'm going to show you how you can work with image adjustments in levels. So if you have this image selected, so what you can do is you can go to image, but before that let me just duplicate this image. So I'm going to drag this and create a new layer. So this is going to be my original image, and this will be the one which I'll be editing on. So if I go to image and adjustments, I have this levels here. So when I choose levels, what is levels is all about increasing and decreasing and managing the brightness and contrast of your entire image. So for example, if I increase the first value here, which I have, if I increase this, see what happens? The image gets darker. But same thing when I increase this one, this is going to increase the brightness of the image. So basically we have the midtones. So this actually manages the midtones of the entire image. So if I increase this in the midways, it's going to increase the brightness of the entire image, and this is going to decrease the brightness of the entire image. So what you can assume is that this is more like a minus thing, and this is like a plus thing, and there's like a plus and minus but in between of the image. So let me show you some of the default settings which we have inside this. So if you go to this presets, there's an option called custom. So if I go to default, there's the default version which you get, and then I have this darker. See what happens when I click on this. So the image gets slightly darker, not completely, but slightly darker. Now the same way we have a lot of other adjustments. If I go for the lighter version, it's going to make the image lighter. So let's go to default, and then we have channels. So we can target an individual channel. So we have RGB, which is red, green, and blue. So I'm going to select just red, and now if I decrease the color of the red, the image kind of gets that bluish tint, but if I overdo it, that's going to become completely blue. Okay, now the same thing happens in the plus part. So I can add more reds to this image, see? Now the same way we have different channels here. We have green, which will decrease the green. This will actually add more green. And I have blues, same thing. This decreases the blue and this adds the blue. So basically when you're working with RGB, you're kind of playing with all the three colors. So let's just adjust this so that we can get what we want. I'm going to create a little bit more darkness, and I'm going to increase the midtones. Let me add just a little brightness here. Okay, I guess that's more than enough for this one. So when I click on OK here, and see, this is my after image which I have edited. When I disable this, you can see the before image. Now you can start to see that the before image looks more dull and the after image has more contrast on it. So let me click here and let me zoom this. You can see the changes when it happens to the eye. So when I disable the after image, you can see this is the before and this is the after. So go ahead and try this. Hey guys, in this class I'm going to show you how you can create a glow effect for any kind of shape. So first thing is I'm going to go to File and choose New. I'm going to set this size to 500 by 500 and I'll click on OK. So okay, I have a document now. The next thing what I would be doing is create a new layer. I'm going to set this layer background to black color. So you can choose black color over here and then use the paint bucket tool to fill in the color. And I'm going to create a new layer. On this layer, you can see here right below this direct selection tool, we have the custom shape option. So you can right click here and you can see we have rectangle, rounded, ellipse, and a lot of other things. So go for custom shapes. So if I select this, you can see that I have a list of custom shapes available. Now you might not find most of these things. You might find only a limited version of it. So what you can do is you can go to this gear icon here, just click on that, and you will get a list of text like this. So a list, complete list. So in this, choose the all option. So if you set the all option, so what that does, it will give you an append option. So click on append and you will get all these options available here. So I'm looking for a bulb like this. So I'm going to select this one, and once you've selected this, make sure to keep an eye on this. So I'm going to fill black, and actually I'm going to fill white. So I'm going to change this color to white, and the border, the stroke, is going to be blank. So I don't want anything for the border. Now once you get that, just hold shift key and then you can just click and drag. You'll get a light bulb. Okay, so we have this. Now you can see it automatically filled in white color. That's because we chose to fill in the white color over there. Now the best thing to do is to align this to the center of the document. So select the shape, hold Control, and then click on the background. Now as soon as you do that, come to the Move tool, and once you're in a Move tool, you can see these buttons are highlighted. See, now if you are in the murky tool or any other tool, these settings are not visible. So you have to come back to the Move tool to work with the alignment. I'm going to align this to the center of the document horizontally, and vertically I want it to align it in center too. So vertically and horizontally, so you can align this in center. Okay, so now that I have it, so what I can do is I can add some effects to this one. So I can go to effects here, right at the bottom, click here, and you can see there's an option called outer glow. So click on this outer glow, and now you can see that you might be seeing some effect over here. So what we can do is we're going to increase the opacity slightly, a little bit. I'm going to change the glow effect. I'm going to change that to blue color. So let me put it to this color. And now the spread is in percentage. So I'm going to set it to around like 4 and increase the size of the glow. You can see that we are getting some effect over there, and you can increase this one to get more highlight, but that's going to look a bit odd, so I'm going to keep it to a bit lower. So I want to say 10%. Then I'm going to increase this. If you don't see much glow like how I'm facing this here, so you can always increase the opacity. That will obviously give you the more glow effect. So we have the glow effect here. I'm going to decrease the spread a little bit, and yeah. So now you can see in the contour we have a lot of different applications which you can apply. So what you can do is you can click on this thing, and you can see that we have different types of options. We have linear one, and you can just click around and you can see which one suits you better. So I can choose, I guess the one which I created is much better. So I think this is better. So once you have done this one, just click on OK, and now you have this glowing file. So let's just say I want to save this in a transparent background so that I will be able to place it anywhere. So what you can do is you can disable this black background, and I can disable also the background here. So now you can see we have this transparent background. I can save this file anywhere, and I can place it on any image that will have the glowing bulb effect. Hey guys, in this class I'm going to show you how you can remove marks from the face. So for this, what you're going to do is you need to have the image placed in your document, and then you're going to duplicate this. So I'm going to drag this to the new layer, and we'll have a duplicate over there. So this one is actually the spot healing brush tool. You can just right click here and choose the spot healing brush tool, and you can zoom in to the area which you want to fix. For example, I want to fix this area. So just brush around with that, and you will have the marks removed. So I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to do this here and here. There we have it. So now if you check this out with the before and after image, say this is the before image and this is the after one. So I'm going to disable this one, and I'm going to create another one, and let me try another tool. So right below that we have healing brush tool, which also does the same thing. I'm going to increase the brush size, and what this one does is this actually captures the area which is beside the acne or beside the mark, and then replicate that area on the mark. So directly work on this one, so it's going to give you an error message saying that could not use the healing brush tool because the layer clone has been moved or deleted. So what we need to do now is we need to increase this brush size, and what I have to do now is hold Alt, and this is going to capture the area here. So make sure that you hold the Alt key. I'm going to take this area, just click once, and once you click it, now you can see that area is taken here. Okay, so all you have to do is just brush around this. Done. Now what you have to do is you have to hold Alt, capture this area, and replicate this with this one. Same thing goes for this. Now capture this area and replicate it over here. Same thing goes for this. Capture this area and then replicate on this. Okay, so this is the healing brush tool. Now let me disable that. Let me create another layer. I'm going to show you the next one is the patch tool. So basically what patch tool does is you can take this area here, you can select this area and just move it to the area you want to duplicate it with. So I want to duplicate with this area. There, it automatically fixes that. I'm going to drag and select this one. I'm just going to move it here. That's going to fix that one. I'm going to choose this area here. I'm going to move it up. That's going to fix that. I'm going to select this and I'm going to move this one. So this is going to fix that one. Okay, and we have content hover tool, but I'm going to show you that in the next class. Hey guys, in this class I'm going to show you how to use the content hover tool. So what we're going to do is just get this image first. Then what you'll have to do is just duplicate this image so that we can keep the original image safer. I'm going to disable this, and now you can go over here. So you had your spot healing brush tool, patch tool, and at the end we have the content hover tool. I'm going to select this one, Now once you do select that, make sure that you play with this settings. We have the structure and we have the color. I have kept the color around 5. That actually makes more sense because it can move it in a much more clearer way. You can play around with this and you can check out how that thing is going to work out. Okay, I'm going to select this bird over here, and then once I select this, all I'll be doing is just move this bird to the down part. Now just hit enter. That's going to move the bird and it will heal the area which I moved from automatically. So I need this bird also to come down, so I'm just going to select this one, just move it over here and just hit enter. There, now that area is moved and also we have our bird down. This is how you're supposed to use the content aware tool. Hey guys, welcome. In this class I'm going to show you how you can create some brightness and shadows, or you can say dodge and burn with the help of Photoshop. So you can see that I have this specific image here. I'm just going to duplicate this. So what I'm going to do now is that if you can check this out, the background is kind of bit darker, so I want to brighten that up. So if you get over here and just right click, you can see that we have dodge and burn option. So basically dodge kind of increases the brightness and the burn kind of adds more darkness to your image. So when I use the dodge tool here, and you can see I have got this tool, so I'm going to increase the size of the brush, and all you have to do is just now paint around. You can see there is a huge difference happening there. I'm going to show you the before and after image here. So let me just paint it around, and let me just paint that once more so it can add up more brightness to that image. Great, we have added the brightness. Now if you can check this out, this is the before image and this is the after one. So basically we added more lights to the image. Now this is what the dodge tool does. So let's get to the burn tool. So if you can check this out, her hands are kind of a bit darkened out, so maybe because of shadows and the lighting. Basically I think it's a natural light, but let me just show you how to work with this one too. So what burn does is actually kind of decreases the lights. So it's already dark, I don't want to make it more dark. So what I want to do is I want to increase the darkness in their hairs. So I can increase this size, just paint this around. I kind of did it more, so I can just paint this there. So that adds a kind of more darkness to that specific image. So let's just say I want to add more shadows here. Okay, and it's like too much, so yeah, shadows there, and I want to add some shadows here. Great. So that doesn't make much of a difference, but you can check this out. This is the after image and this is the before image. So working with dodge and burn is that easier. Hey guys, in this class I'm going to show you how to work with the clone stamp tool. So I have this one image over here. Just the first thing, I'm going to duplicate this. Let's keep the first image safe. Now that I have duplicated that, what you can do now is you can go ahead and choose the clone stamp tool. So you can see that is right below the brush, and you can right click and you can see what other options we have. We have just the clone stamp tool, so we select that. Now you'll get this window. So now if I directly start clicking on it, that would not be right. So let me just teach you how this thing works. The first thing is you need to capture the area which you would like to make a clone. For example, let's just say if I want this tree, I'll use the Alt key, hold the Alt key, and you can see that you have this capture icon. And once you click on that, now you're ready to take the image. See, now you can just start painting and you can get started, but not yet. This seems exactly like the content aware, or sorry, not the content aware thing, yeah, the spot healing brush tool. It kind of looks exactly like that, but it's entirely different. The one option we have here is we have the sampling. So I think even the spot healing brush tool had this healing thing, but that's okay. Now what we can do is we can enable the sampling. It would be by default set to like current layer, so make sure that is set to all layers. So if you do this, what happens is when you can take a new layer, you can still follow your stamp on the new layer. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a duplicate of the stamp over here. I'm just going to paint it. Okay, just paint it and it is done. Okay, so now I have this. The best thing is now I can move this. I can get back to my move tool, see, and I can transform it. So I can rotate it like this, and that's my tree. Now the worst part over here is that you can see that there's so much of extra content just kind of coming up over here. I need to get rid of those contents. So what you can do here is you can create a mask. You can see on your layer effects here we have this mask icon. You can just click on that. That's going to add an additional block here, so make sure that is selected. What happens in mask is that you can only use two brush effects. We have the black and white. So I'm going to go to brushes. So make sure that you are set to normal brush. Okay, I'm going to choose the regular brush over here, and you can see I have got this size. So I'm going to decrease the size. Now the black kind of acts like an eraser, and the white kind of brings back the stuff. So let me zoom in, and I need to get rid of the edges. So you can see that these areas are like fine, but only the top edges are actually kind of looks weird. So I'm gonna just brush around, and you can see that I'm having a little success. And just move on a little bit, and great, we are done, I guess. So yeah, that looks pretty good. So this is how you can use the clone stamp tool. Hey guys, in this class I'm going to show you how you can install custom fonts in your Photoshop. I have some fonts which have been downloaded here. So what you can do now is you can go to this Windows folder or Windows drive or C drive. You can right click here and open this in a new window, and you will see this folder called Windows. Just open that up, and inside that you can see there's a folder called fonts. Just open that up, and it's going to take some time. And once this folder is open, so what you can do now is you can copy all of these fonts here, and then get back to your fonts folder, right click, and then paste it. That's going to install all the fonts you need in your Windows computer. And once it is installed in your computer, it will be directly available inside Photoshop. Let me show you how. Okay, now the fonts are installed, so let me close this. Let me go to Photoshop. Let's go to File, New. I'm going to choose HD. I'm going to click on OK. Okay, now I'm going to create a new file, new layer, sorry. And you can go to this character tab here, click on that, and now you can see that we have the fonts here. So we can just drop down, and let's scroll down and look for our file which we need. So scroll back up, there it is. So we have all the fonts that we need. Hey guys, in this class we are going to work with typography. So in order to work with the text, you need to have the characters tab enabled. So you can see mine is already enabled, but if you can't find this on your Photoshop, what you can do is you can go to Window, and from there you can see that there is a character tab option. So you can just click on that, and this will be enabled there. Okay, so now that we have enabled that, let me create a new layer. So, and by the way, I have taken an image which can also do that. You can use any image. Now that we have our layer, I'm going to add my text over here. So to do that, what we can do is we can use the text tool here. Now there are two ways how you can add a text inside Photoshop. You can just click and you can start typing. So I can type in welcome to Photoshop. Okay, so this is the one way. This is the one way how you can add text inside Photoshop, and if you want to edit it, just click on that and you'll be able to edit it. The another way of adding text inside Photoshop is that you can choose the same text box, but instead of clicking in the document, you will click and drag. So basically what this does is it creates a text box. So here I can add the number of lines which I want to display, the number of words I want to display. I can directly add as many sentences or words or quotes I can add inside my Photoshop. So I'm going to use the default version. I'm just going to click and I'm going to add, so create a new layer. I'm just going to click here and I'm going to call this as nature, N-A-T-U-R-E, nature. Okay, so I have this simple text here which says nature, but it doesn't have much. There's nothing here, so there's nothing much happening. So what we need to do now is first we need to increase the size of the image. So let's go to our characters type here, and you can see that the font which have been selected is this one. I want to select the railway font which I used in my previous class. So I'm going to click on this and let's look for the railway font we have right here. I'm going to choose the railway bold. Okay, that looks good. And now I can increase the size. So I can just increase the size here. Let's see how much it fits. And let's set it to around 120. Okay, that looks big enough. I can use a move tool, and now all I need to do is I need to align it in the center. Okay, let's make it a bit much bigger. So I'm going to set it to 180. Okay, that I think looks fine. Okay, now that I have it, so we can use the control key, select the background, and now once you are in the move tool, you can see the alignment options there. I'm going to align it vertically in center and horizontally in center. So once I have that option here set up, so let's go to our character tab. Again, you can see there is a different format I want to apply to my text. I have 10 and a lot of other options. It usually depends on the font which you install. So when you're downloading a font, make sure you have all these options there. So this is the line height. So if you have like around multiple lines text, so you can increase the height. I think I'm going to set this to 150. Yeah, 150 is fine. So let me just align this back to center. Okay, great. Okay, and this is the letter spacing. So it's by default set to 100. So I can increase this. You can see what's happening. So if I increase this, each and every letter becomes a much far from each other. So I'm going to set this to 100. So let that be the default version. And now you can see that I can make it bold. So if I click this, it becomes bolder, but I don't think I need that. My font looks already pretty good. I can make it italic. I can make it all caps. There's something what I need. And now since I have this, let me align this back. Okay, that looks fine. Now that I have it, so what I can do now is I can change the color of that. So I will click on this and I can choose any color I like. So I'm going to set that to by default black. I have a lot of options here like nature square. I can add those options. Let me show how that thing works. So let me just double click here. I'm going to add a 2 over there. So I'm going to select this thing. And if you click on this one, that goes kind of on the top side. See, that looks not nice in this document. So let me remove that. Okay, so we have this one. So now what I need to do is let me enable this text. Okay, so this is the one. So what I need is I need my entire image to come inside my nature text. So the first thing what you'll be doing is we are going to put this image on the top of the nature text here. Okay, so our image is going to hide. That's fine. Now in your keyboard, hold the Alt key. If you hold the Alt key, you will see the symbol here. If you see the symbol, so basically what we're doing now is we are going to create a clipping mask. So this image will act as a background for the nature text. So just hold Alt, and when you see the symbol here, just take your cursor between the two layers. You will see the symbol here. Just click once, and you can see now that we have our image in the background of our text. So let me right click and let me convert that to smart object. Now press Ctrl T. That's going to give us a transformation. I'm going to compress it so that I can see a bit more option over there. And I have my text right inside. So let me scroll in. Okay, that looks pretty good. And now I can start adding effects to my text. Actually, you should not be adding any effects to your image right now. So you'll be adding the effects to the text. So I'm going to select this text. So let's go to our effects, and there is a lots of options available. So you can click on blending options. You'll get a lots and lots of different options here which you can work with. We have bevel and emboss. You can make it look like a box. So I'm going to increase the depth, decrease the size. I don't want to soften or make stuff look more fancy. So what we're going to do is I'm going to cancel this. I don't need any of these effects. So I'm going to use only some effects. The first thing, I need a drop shadow. So I'm going to create a shadow option here. So let me create the distance. So it's going to be this much, and the spread is fine. I need to change the angle. To put it on the other side, a bit up. Okay, that looks fine. And I can decrease the opacity a little bit. I can increase the blurriness if I need, but I think this is fine. Okay, now that I have it, it looks good. Let's click on OK, and you can click on effects again, and we have another option called inner shadow. That's over here. So basically what inner shadow does is it gives you depth. So now I can increase the distance. See, that's something's happening inside. So I'm going to increase the choke, increase the size too much. So I'm just going to keep the choke a little bit. I think this size very slightly. Okay, that looks fine. So I can disable each and every option here. So I can just disable this drop shadow here. Let's see how that looks. That looks like a paper cut thing. Actually, that's much better, I think. So let me just get this out. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So go ahead and try your own typography. Hey guys, in this class I'm going to show you how to work with filters, and we're going to create something really amazing. Okay, so the first thing is that I have taken a new document, and if you can see that I have a layer here called layer 2, and in that I have this deserted land or road, and then in layer 1 I have a car. So basically my idea is to place this car over here. Okay, so let's do that. So what you're going to do is, the first thing, I'm going to take this layer 1, and then if you see this option here on the top, normal, just click on that, and inside that there's an option called multiply. There are so many other options. You can just go ahead and try all of them. Okay, I'm going to use the multiply version. If I click on that, okay, this happens. So basically everything is going through everything. So I'm going to right click here and convert the image to smart object. Okay, so once I have the image in smart object, press Ctrl T. That's going to give you the transformation of that specific object. So if you hold shift and if you click here and drag it inside, that's going to resize in one space. But if you hold alt and shift, that's going to resize in center. So I'm going to resize that in center. So I'm going to take about this much. Yeah, I guess that much is fine, and then hit enter. So what we'll do is we'll drag and drop the image over here so that I can see this strip going through that. Okay, that also looks like a reflection. So I think the car is pretty small, so I'm going to make this a bit large. Okay, it's too large. Yeah, I guess this much is fine. I know I'm really bad with dimensions. So since I have got the image here, so what I can do now is we can add some effects to that. So let me keep it here. This is much better. Okay, so now since I have got this image, what we can do now is we can add glares to this front headlights. So I'm going to create a new layer here, and I'm going to select black color, and from the gradient option which we have, just right click and we'll get the paint bucket tool and just drop in. Oops, that thing we don't get selected. Okay, just drop in black color. Okay, now you can go to filters, and you have so many filters available. We have Gaussian, blur, and a lot of other things. We can go ahead and try each and everything. Okay, so I'm going to go to render, and inside the render we have an option called lens flare. I'm going to select the lens flare. In lens flare we have a lot of options. We can increase and decrease the size of the lens flare. See, it's decreasing, it's increasing. Okay, you can choose how much do you need. So I'm going to use the best suited one. I think this one is much better, so I'm going to decrease this. I think this much is fine. This much is fine, and then click on OK. Okay, we got our lens flare now. So the problem now is, how do I place this on my headlights? So just select this one, like select this layer, and in this option here you have an option called screen. Just select the screen. So basically what happens is all the black thing is going to disappear, and you're going to have only the glare. So I'm just going to keep it over here, and I need another one over here. So just hold alt key, that will duplicate that, and I'm going to put it over here. Okay, so I have two layers now. So if you want the other one to be less glowing, so you can set the opacity down to around 75%. I think that's too less, so let's set it to 85%. Yeah, I think that's fine. There, we have our image manipulation ready. Hey guys, at the end of this course I would like to just tell you one thing: practice and practice more. I'll be updating this course often with new content editions. So keep in touch with the course and stay updated.